Alright, what is up everyone? Z-Man here at the Z channel, and so today I'm going to be talking about some different ideas about self-defense. And so, I've already touched base on a lot of different self-defense do's and don'ts, but I think it's important that we get more into the psychology of fighting. Okay, now when I was being trained by the guy that taught me, his name was Chuck Pittman, he taught me a lot about being smarter than your opponent, and a lot of what Sansu was, when I learned it, was the actual psychology of fighting. It wasn't just being able to wreck someone or hurt them badly or break a bone or whatever the case. Even though that's what you're taught, you don't always necessarily need to do that kind of stuff just because you can. And one thing about Chuck is he always tried to teach control. Control in your movements, your techniques, control in how much pain that you're going to deliver or how much pain you're not going to deliver. And I think that's really, really important, especially in the type of society that we live in now. And the reason why I say that is because it's really easy to overstep your bounds, okay? Like, I'll give you an example. In loss prevention, for example, okay, we have, arrest guidelines on how we can arrest people, because technically we're not police officers, right? And so those guidelines, we have to follow them, otherwise we can get in trouble for hurting someone, for going too far, for sometimes even for false arrest. If you arrest the wrong person, stuff like that. It's a very delicate line to walk when you're doing loss prevention. And there's a lot of times where what one person might perceive as you taking it too far is actually sticking within the policy that you've been given by your company. And it doesn't matter what company you work for. At the end of the day, we all have to follow the same rules and laws that's provided by the state that you live in. So for example, Arizona, when you're arresting someone, there's only so much force you can use if they're resisting arrest. You can't just maim someone and beat the crap out of them because they're resisting arrest. You know what I mean? And you also, for the policy of the company that you work for, you might have a duty for safety first before anything else, which is wise because you don't want to get hurt, and you don't want your partner to get hurt, and you don't want to hurt the bad guy, even though they're robbing the place or whatever the case is. And I understand the whole want and need of wanting to take the bad guy down. But at the end of the day, you got to go home to your family. At the end of the day, you don't want to get a police, you don't want to get a record or get arrested or have to deal with any kind of legal problems. Okay, so today's video is going to just be kind of more going over the psychology of it. And a lot of times, especially like in loss prevention, you can let someone know, like, hey man, you're busted, and just let them feel that mental and even emotional defeat of, oh, I just got caught, crap, you know what I mean, now I'm in trouble. Like, think about when you were a kid and your parents caught you doing something wrong or caught you in a lie or something like that, you know what I mean, and you knew you were busted, and the automatic feeling of, oh crap, I'm busted. Now that doesn't work for everyone, but a good portion of the people that I've dealt with, as soon as you let them know, like, hey man, like, you're in trouble, sit tight, you're getting handcuffed, you're going to jail, whatever the case is, it's all in how you say things. So if you say things calmly, sternly, and respectfully at the same time, you got to be assertive on how you say things, but be respectful about it too. You don't have to treat them like crap because they're a criminal. They're already going to get enough of that when they're in jail. So you're just doing your part, you're doing your job, don't make it personal, and use the actual psychology of them feeling defeated to make your job easier, okay? And the same kind of goes in a self-defense situation as well. You can literally be up against someone that's twice your size, 3 times your size, or maybe up against a group of people, you know what I mean? And it's all in what you say, what you do, your body language, your tone of voice, the way that you look at them, all that stuff, you know what I mean? And so you should always have that situational awareness to know, like, am I going to have to fight or am I not going to have to fight? Defend myself or not defend myself? Or are you going to be able to talk about the situation and explain, like, hey, you guys are over here. You guys are breaking community policies. I've asked you guys to stop. It is what it is. You know, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm doing my job. You know, and then they say, all right, well, you're just some stupid mall cop and blah 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 blah, and you can't tell me what to do. You ain't no cop. And you say, you know what, sir, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm not a police officer, but I am the one that's going to be holding up these policies. And while I'm on my beat, you guys are going to do what I'm asking you guys to do. Otherwise, we can't get the law enforcement involved. Okay? Now, all I'm asking you guys to do is respect the community policies, and that's it. You know, I'm not asking you guys to do anything else. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, lord over you or anything. This is where you live. But at the same time, I need you to respect what the policies is. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You cannot have any parties right now. You can't be drinking out here. There's rules and regulations, and you guys got to follow it. Now, I ask you, sir, do you want to be evicted for breaking these community policies? Because that's probably what's going to happen. So you can either comply with what I'm asking you to do, or you can probably get evicted out of where you're going to live. So you take your, you know, you take your pick. And you know, at that point, I've really put the monkey back on his shoulders. I've really, you know, made it to the point where, you know, I've explained I'm not going away, the policy's not going away, and they're either going to do what's being asked of them per the policy, or they can not only deal with the police, they can also deal with getting evicted out of their place that they're living at, or, you know, maybe get disturbing the peace, or drunk and disorderly, or who knows. I mean, I've seen the cops do a lot of different things while responding to calls like that, you know. And so for the most part, it usually works out if you just say, hey, I'm gonna get the police involved, you know. Self-defense situation, the same thing. You know, this person's got a problem with you. Hey man, you know what, I get it, you're mad, you want to beat me up, whatever the case is. I'm not about fighting, so if you do anything, I'm just gonna go ahead and call the police. Do you want to deal with the police or not? Oh, well, you're just a little wimp, you're a bitch, blah 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 blah. And you tell him, like, you know what, man, I'll be that. I'll be a wimp, I'll be a bitch, I'll be a pussy, whatever you want to say. Okay, I don't care. I'm not here to be tough, I'm here to win. Okay, at the end of the day, you don't have to explain this to him, but at the end of the day, you yourself know, if you fight this person, what's going to happen? Okay, you're probably going to end up going to jail too, which means you're going to get a record, you're probably going to lose your job, and you're going to have to pay court fines, and then you're going to have that record, you know, following you for the rest of your life that you did something, and now you have, you know, legal problems, and that will affect you in your future. You know, so psychology of fighting goes all the way around to many different elements. You know what I mean? Like even in like simple arguments, like with people over, you know, politics or religion or whatever the case is, you know, you're basically giving people, you know, factoids that you know about or experiences that you've had that, you know, are incumbent of what has brought you to the belief system that you believe in, right? And so when you base things in facts and you base things off of experience, it's much harder for another person to combat what you're saying or what you're doing. You know, and the same goes on with self-defense as well. You know, if someone comes up to you and like they want to start something with you, hey man, I get it, you're mad, but I'm telling you right now, you put your hands on me, I'm going to defend myself, and that's it. You know, I'm asking you, I'm retreating from the situation, and make sure you say legal terms like that. I'm retreating from the situation, I want no part of this, and that's it. And make sure you verbally state, I'm retreating from the situation, I don't want any part of this, and retreat. You know, don't egg it on further, don't call him a name or her a name or whatever the case is. Back away, back up, and, you know, retreat. And there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, people, you don't want to get in trouble with the law, okay? You don't want to get beat up, and you don't want to beat anyone up either, because you can get sued. You know, let's say you do get into it with someone, and, you know, at first it could be over, let's say somebody dings your car. Great thing, it's happened, you know, in the parking lot, someone hit your car, you're mad, you're pissed off, and you guys are arguing, exchanging, you know, bad names and bad words and all that stuff, and you know, next thing you know, it's like, well, what are you gonna do about a punk? Da, 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 da. And you guys basically took a little fender bender, which you guys are gonna have to go through the motions of insurance and, you know, reporting it and everything else, versus adding all the extra bullcrap on top of it. Okay, so you know, when you're making more into the situation, you're probably going to be in trouble, because even if you did defend yourself, they're going to look at how did the situation escalate. You know what I mean? Like, were you a cause of it? Did you place yourself under duress? You know, as soon as you get involved in a situation, you're automatically placing yourself under duress. And by law, in most places, you have a duty to retreat. You have a duty to not be put under duress. Now, stand your ground and standing your ground, but if someone talks crap to you and you take offense to it, and then you continue to egg on the situation and build up the fight, now you're just as guilty as that person is, okay? So you got to think about, you know, repercussions all the way across the board. You can't just go into a situation and think, oh, well, I'm going to say whatever I want to say and blah, 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 and nothing's going to happen to me. Wrong. You know, absolutely wrong. Like, everything that you say, do, and are a part of before, during, and after any altercation, it's going to be, you know, gone over with a fine-tooth comb. It's going to be scrutinized. It's going to be looked at by the DA. You know, so if you could have retreated or done something different, or, you know, de-escalated the situation, you know, they're going to look at all that stuff. And so, you know, the psychology of fighting in all of this, to make better sense of what I'm saying, is you got to be smarter than the people that you're dealing with, okay? If you're dealing with a drunk person, for example, you know, there's no reason to argue with the drunk person. They're already drunk and irrational as it is. So just don't try to do that. Just stop, okay? If you're dealing with someone who, you know, habitually is just always angry and always trying to be, you know, one up on you or whatever the case is, you know, obviously that's not a good person to hang around, so stop hanging around him. You know, there's all kinds of preventative measures that you can do to keep yourself and avoid trouble. And that's the biggest thing about getting into fights, knife fights, gun fights, is don't get into a fight. Don't get into a knife fight, and definitely don't get into a gunfight. Okay? Any of these altercations is going to change your life, I guarantee it. Sure, we've all been in our fights. We've all been in fights. I can guarantee most people that are watching this have been in some kind of a fight, and nothing ever happened to them legally. But that doesn't mean that something can't happen, and I've seen that happen with many people, where as soon as they defended themselves, next thing you know, they're going to jail too with the same person, and they're having to pay for their medical bills because they trashed them. You know, and that's just the way it is this day. It's not like it was when we were younger, you know, where if you got into a fight with someone and you guys one-on-one'd it and duked it out, you know, and that was it. That doesn't work that way anymore, okay? Everyone is so happy. Everyone wants to get the other person in as much trouble as possible. No one ever tells the truth. And the other thing is, a lot of people have video cameras these days, you know, so you doing that one extra head stomp or that one extra punch, or, you know, as soon as you went out of being under, you know, the defense of your life and you went into the attack mode part, you know, there's that bleed over and that fine line of where things happen, okay? So once you've defended yourself, you gotta stop. You can't just keep pummeling someone, and that's the point, okay? Same thing with like you're working loss prevention and you arrest somebody. You know, once you've arrested them, they're arrested, okay? You don't have to be rough with them no more. You don't have to do anything. I mean, you have to maintain the arrest and maintain some kind of control, because now they're under your custody. But you have to be smarter than them, and the best thing to do is to de-escalate situations. Don't use bad language. Don't use a bad tone of voice. You know, watch your eye contact, watch your body language, all that stuff, okay? So, you know, psychology of fighting, you know, can also be flipped over and used to help in situations as well. So in some cases, you gotta have a tone of voice. You gotta have that attitude. You gotta have those eyes. You gotta have that mean mug face. You know, intimidation factor can be really huge. So psychology of fighting can go both ways, but you got to understand where that line's drawn between what's legal and what's not legal, and, you know, where your liability is, okay? If you're liable for the things that you do before, during, and after, you know, you got to think about this, like, is this going to land me in jail? Is this going to get me sued? Is this going to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay? So that's pretty much what I wanted to discuss on this. So psychology of fighting, think about the different aspects that you can, you know, flip the script on people when you're in those kind of situations. You know, as a bouncer, security guard, police officer, teacher, you know, it can even work with your, you know, boyfriend or girlfriend, you know what I mean? So just think about that kind of stuff before you get into fights, and just make sure that you're, you know, thinking about your liability, okay? Psychology of fighting is real. You should use it. Learn about human intelligence and how to manipulate it to make it work for you, okay? So anyway, that's my tip on this topic for psychology of fighting. Thank you for watching, and I'll be uploading some more videos here soon. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Z-Man out.